You know, interesting. But let's talk about the matter at hand. Joshua. You know, we find ourselves in a very interesting position as a country where 2027 politics are there. One would say campaigns should not happen right now because based off the rules of the game, campaigns should not happen. But everyone now wants to be the DP. You know, you look at ODM, tunataka nini? Power, weka, mawe. DP, ni yetu. We have the numbers, you know. We are in this broad-based arrangement based off our numbers, and our merger with the president has enabled him to work. Because many say after Rigathi Gachagua left and he left with his luminaries, if ODM as well had left, it would be very difficult for the president to work. So when you talk about the DP's position, how critical is it and how will it change politics in 2027?
So thank you very much. I think we are now getting into that season where political jostling and gerrymandering becomes the order of the day. And this is the season where politicians have to bring their A game. So what you have is basically more or less like a beaten path where our politics has generally cascaded into coalition type of politics. If you see back since 2002, that trajectory has been very consistent. So we've crystallized our politics into hardened coalition politics, whereby no single candidate, whether the incumbent or the opposition, can fathom to go it alone or individually or within more or less like a unilateral formation. So when you talk about coalition politics, then that means jostling, negotiating, bargaining becomes the core, becomes the everyday aspect of this type of politics. So that you have UDA being the ruling coalition, but UDA was within a Greater Kenya Kwanza alliance in 2022. And definitely the situation is not as it was in 2022. There have been fallouts, there have been removal, the impeachment of the former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, definitely chipped away quite a number of the elected leaders, not quite, but a few, or maybe say a third of the elected leaders are outrightly yes, elected under UDA, but completely against the government. The majority of them are still there, but you can see they are also struggling to try keep their pace within the Mount Kenya region. So definitely that then called for the UDA or the Kenya Kwanza Alliance to look for other willing partners. Broad-based was basically a stopgap measure, but it seems the stopgap measure is now trending towards being a mainstay, because as at the time the broad-based regime or the coalition was being put in place, it was more or less to stabilize the regime. And the stabilization was basically that was the architecture set around by Raila Odinga. And in his absence, then you have the coalition having no other option but to crystallize into a hard coalition going into 2027 election. The president, of course, in his wisdom, calculates that he just needs first to consolidate whatever he has and then look out for new partners. And the moment you have that arrangement, then it now brings into focus this kind of fights that we have, like the ODM, the remnant of the ODM, because it's not the whole ODM. The remnant of the greater Orange family is taking a claim. To be honest, I think it's more of posturing. I don't think they have the muscle to demand and dictate. If it was the ODM that had both Linda Brown and Linda Mwananchi coalesce together, yes, that would be a really big
Am I hearing you telling us this morning that the ODM that does exist today, so we have ODM that went through the NDC and everything, and we have the other ODM, right? So we talk about the Jeremy James Orengo, you talk about Babu Sifuna, right?
Yes.
So is it a position where now the ODM that is in broad-based fully mzima mzima, right, is an ODM that does not have grounds, does not have what it takes to demand for the DP post?
They have what it takes to negotiate and bargain, but it is a bit far-fetched to imagine that they can demand. The word is demand. Look at the two demands they are putting on the table to the UDA side of the broad-based coalition. They are asking for the deputy presidency and they are asking for zoning. They can talk about zoning. UDA can choose out of goodwill, out of the desire to maintain good neighborliness and family relations, just like in a polygamous relationship, it would mean you seed something. And the kind of seeding they can be able to do, if you ask me, would be the seeding where they let go of the issue of having candidates within the ODM stronghold. But at the same time, I don't think the deputy presidency position is on offer. My 2 cents with it is that the biggest challenge you're facing is that coalition politics are delicate in this case. The president has not given up on Mount Kenya. The president is scrapping it to the bitter end to be able to maintain a vote block that gave him 43% of his total votes in 2022. He may not, and I don't think he's wise enough to know that the situation may not be as it was, because whatever the fight being brought to his doorstep by the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, as well as the former deputy president, in the fight for the heart and soul of Mount Kenya, would mean it is not as it was. It was no longer a solid block as it was in 22. But whatever the case, he's keen to ensure that he does not lose that constituency by whatever means. But so how do you maintain that? You don't tinker by removing the deputy presidency.
Is the president at this point the lizard in an open field?
Not
especially
really.
In Mount Kenya. Why do I say that? Because you